There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Richard Curtis, and this is Josh Safdie. Take a seat. I'm going to stay standing while I just say it's just the most extraordinary and amazing film. Hands up who didn't enjoy it. There we go. But it's, I can't believe it. I
just introduced my daughter. She had the stomach virus. So I had to keep her up all night to a marathon of Mr. Bean.
There we go. Actually, the similarities between Mr. Bean and this movie are something I don't think anyone's ever going to write about. But it's like so many movies in once. I just sort of think, love story, sex story, sports story.
Yeah,
avid young man story. So we've got about half an hour or a bit less. It's quite a long film, and so I feel like I'm in the same position as everyone.
The movie is also about time,
yes.
So there's a run time.
Okay. Yes. Well, exactly. But your films often feature people in a very tight timetable, in a very difficult situation. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask questions. You're going to answer quickly.
Yes, we'll try. I'm very bad at that.
Brevity is. I'm going to run out of time.
Brevity
as
is
they
not
often do.
The key to wit.
Okay, well, I can't praise it enough. And what I'm going to just try and quickly do, which Josh said is a very bad idea, is kind of run through the process very quickly, because I'm interested how films get from A to Z. So, one, the idea. How did it come to you? What first made you think this is the film I should make?
Which idea? There's a million in there.
Yeah,
there's
the guy playing table tennis in the 1950s.
It started with my wife, who's a producer of the film. She bought me a book when I was finishing Uncut Gems, which was this 10-year dream that I was chasing. It was my purpose every single morning to wake up and see this dream through.
Yes.
And I read this book that was shining a light on these young, outcast, angsty young men who had these dreams that no one believed in, and no one believing in it hardened them, and it made them believe in that dream even more so. And that coinciding with the finishing of the film, Uncut Gems, and the feeling of hollowness that I had at the end of that rainbow, kind of coincided.
That's gripping. So it's autobiographical.
In some ways, every movie, every piece of work is autobiographical. In some way, someone's got to tell the story.
I do think that final shot, it's not a final shot of the movie, but everything that's going on Timothee Chalamet's face when he wins that final point is so extraordinary, and perhaps a reflection of what you were feeling, that you win and then you lose and then you don't know how you feel.
Yes, absolutely. And that dreams are for the lonely. And this movie is also about belief in that regard. So do you believe in yourself? Sure, you need to believe in yourself, but is that enough?
And then when did that idea, was the character on whom Marty's based one of the people featured in that book?
No, I mean, Marty's an amalgamation. I write with my writing partner, Ronald Bronstein, and he and I, our writing process is we find a world and we have a character, and then we start filtering our own lives really through it. And it's a brutal process, the writing process.
By the way, this was question number 2, so you're doing really well. You've moved from 1 to 2. I said writing. How does that process work?
You're talking about the writing process is intense because I do a lot of really intense research. And in this case, I was doing a film that was period and not contemporary, so I didn't have the luxury of just going out into a world and doing research and try to bringing that back to the table. I'm like a hunter, and I'll bring it back to the table to gathered it for Ronnie and myself. But in this situation, I had to do research in a little bit more of an abstract way. Ronnie and I will be mining our own lives, and where does an idea come from? It's in these ethereal kind of spiritual, strange things. And the writing process is scary because it could last forever. So he and I are bringing our own personal lives to the table, and then so he'll bring an idea, and then he likes to say that I will take that idea, tie it to a chair, beat the living shit out of it, and make it confess all of its weaknesses to the point where he's like, yeah, this idea sucks, so he's starting to beat up on it, and then I start defending the idea. So it's this strange process which kind of reifies them. But so I'll go and I'll do this research and bring back some of these points of view, meeting with people with strange dreams, hardened figures, angry young men, as you said. And then you read lots of books, as many as you can. And we split them up. Ronnie feels like he always gets the bad ones. And they lead to ideas that don't exist. Like there was a whole section of this film at one point that opened with the kind of the war that was happening between the uptown Harlem black lottery scene and the Jewish gangsters who were trying to take it over. And it opened with Don King. I talked to Don King, the boxing promoter, and it was Don King's candy shop, and he was running a lottery system, but it was corrupt because you used to be able to you're going to change the subject.
Well, quite soon, but I love this film.
This is interesting. So they were ping pong balls, the lottery system back then, and you would still are, and they would put the winning ping pong balls in the freezer, so they'd be super cold. Then they drop them in the bag, and then the person selecting the balls would find the cold ones and pull them out. So it was rigged. So it opens on a rigged lottery game, but then Abel Ferrara's character, who plays Ezra, has sent one of his guys, and they're blowing up the shop because they don't like that this person's running a lottery system. And then you follow that guy back to this shitty, seedy hotel, and that's how you met the Abel character. That was, at one point, the opening of the movie. And you read a whole book about the lottery system. 2 books. So you don't know what ends up...
And then Arnold tells you that's a bad idea. He's still fighting.
No.
Fighting.
We love the idea. But what's nice is we write all these characters. We write their biographies so we know who they are, because you cannot force your characters to do anything that they don't want to do.
So how long did the
writing
and not writing take?
So it was 6 years. Wow. I mean, we wrote, and then I was going to try to make the film in 2022, and then I did this other job, and then you come back to it, and then you put it away, and then you come back to it. So on and off for 6 years.
That's unbelievable.
And then for a hardcore 18 months at the end, hardcore every day.
And then the film that you, as it were, had a screenplay of.
Yes.
What percentage of that is in this film?
90-something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and we're now going to rush on to, because we've got casting. Tell us about that, because it's the most astonishingly cast film. There didn't seem to me like an extra who wasn't perfectly cast.
I think there's 30, I forgot how many, more than 3,000 extras if you include Japan. And it was Jennifer Vendetti and myself and Todd, our castings, and my wife, Sarah Rosain, who's the producer. The first day I saw some extras that we went through, and you cast them, and they're like, all right, game over. Now we have to cast every single one.
Right.
Because at any moment I might bring them into the scene. And you see that for sure in the bowling alley sequence, because he's working the crowd. So the crowd is a character. And so, every single part that we're casting, Jennifer and I are not looking at who's the star of the movie. They're all stars.
They've got to be right. I mean,
they're all stars. 1 line or 1,000 lines. I treat them all the same, and I think that respect that they feel, you feel in the film, because they have agency, and I give the actors agency. But we're cast, like, I wrote the movie for Timothee, obviously, Tyler, the creator, Abel Ferrara, and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Okay, they were in your head. So,
and then everybody else, you either cast and find and then retrofit. So you go back and you meet with this person, or I watch a 30-minute interview the way Jen works. She does a 30-minute interview.
Right, not saying your lines.
No, just an interview. Right. Who are you as a person? Right. We're casting people. I don't care.
How did you cast the guy from Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary? I don't know if you...
Dragon's Den.
I sort of didn't know, but has he acted before?
Never acted. I mean, he's acting every day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was, we worked really hard together, and he really gave me the time. He lost money doing the film. When you're a billionaire doing things like this, you're not doing it for money. You're doing it for the experience, because money can't really buy this type of experience. It was I was worried about convincing him to do it. When we wrote that part is about a corporate colonialist, this timeless power, this scary, infinite feeling of just greed and colonialism and blah, 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 blah. And, you write it. I met with actors. They just felt artificial. Right. They didn't carry that weight. They didn't feel like they could bring something to the movie. And I thought, I need someone who has the experience of this, or who's every casting decision you want that person to say the lines before they open their mouth. You're bringing baggage. When you cast someone, you're casting their essence and their soul. And Jen is a humanist, my casting director. She understands that. She's a documentarian first. She's running an acting class almost. There is no one working like her right now. She's like one of my closest collaborators.
Casting is out of this world.
So I started looking at the top. I went to the Forbes richest people in the world list, and I was like, all right, let me just go through one at a time.
There's a terrible actor as president.
Well, there's terrible actors throughout. It's just a lot of the people in that list. They don't have it. They're not entertainers. So then you start looking at entertainers in that world, and there's a lot of reality shows that are centered around businesses and pitching yourself. And I landed on Shark Tank, and I know my co-writer Ronald is obsessed with Shark Tank. He calls me, he said, you got to watch this one, you got to watch that one. We like looking up the businesses. And I said, what about someone on Shark Tank, like a Mark Cuban? And he's like, Mr. Wonderful, right there. And I was like, oh my God, you're so right. And
who gave him the name Mr. Wonderful?
Himself.
Right.
I think it comes from him being such an asshole. It's an ironic title. So when I met with him, I said, we need an asshole, and you're it.
Right. That's well, how tempting.
Yeah.
Rehearsals, do you do them?
Not really.
No.
I do for certain scenes. I'll do rehearsals. I do lots of readings where I read through the script with the characters, with the actors. And I think for a lot of the first timers, we've done the scene so many times in the audition process that they have that in them. But I don't like to I like to keep it fresh. So we're rehearsing on the set the day of.
Okay. And like with Kevin, but you had
Kevin, I went every single scene. I sat with him. We read through the lines. I had heard him how he would say the lines. We would retrofit the script to be that way. He came up with the 1601 vampire line, which is one of the greatest lines in the movie. It might be true. That's this timeless quality. When you're looking into power like that, it's infinite. It's timeless.
So actually, before we get to the shooting of it, I heard you saying really interestingly that this was different from your other extraordinary films because they're contemporary, and therefore you're allowed to, as it were, steal performances from real people who don't even know and that they're in the film.
Yep.
And yet now for the first time, you're creating the entire world, but you want to create the same atmosphere of truth. So, and you have this legendary designer,
Jack Fisk. Yeah.
What did he teach you? What did you teach him?
Well, one of the good things about having made all these films contemporarily is, and then when I think about period, because I was just interested in this world, and there were certain nonfiction, real life historical facts that were very interesting to me that made it essential that this movie took place in 1952. And I, having made all these other films, like you're saying, that I've gone and I've thrown Adam Sandler into a fountain, and you benefit off of all the real people being like, oh my God, and then realizing, oh my God, that's Adam Sandler, and you can use that and cheat it. But I got able to understand what I wanted out of that. When you go out into the street, there's billions of decisions that have been made for life to look like that. Verisimilitude comes from chaos, but an organized chaos. So then, period, you don't have there's no inheriting anything. You have to create every single piece of that you see. And there was only one person who I knew could do that, and it was Jack Fisk. Now, Jack Fisk doesn't want to do many things because he's an artist and he's inspired by things. To him, it's not a job. This is his life's calling. He lives, as David Lynch was his buddy growing up, best friend. He did Mulholland Drive. They moved to California together, him and David Lynch. He goes, Josh, we live the art life. And the art life, there's sacrifices to the art life, and that sometimes can be a life. And, he'll text me at 3 a.m. and be like, where are we going to find 38 millimeter balls? Because in 2004, they made them 40 millimeter for entertainment value. So he's obsessive about this. So I pitched myself to him in 2021, but he wasn't available. He was doing Killers of the Flower Moon, which was another incredible hidden history recreation. And I wanted to just know how did glass look, period. And he told me a trick of the trade. Then I pitched him again here, and he loves the idea of bringing forth a history that you've never seen before. And in particular, the ping pong parlor, Lawrence's. That was a real place in Times Square district, the first black-owned business in the Times Square district, historical footnote no one knows of. It was a place where all these outcasts, and it was a hideout basically, but they was intense. It was gambling. There's people sleeping on the couches, and it was run by this kind of man, this regal man named Herwald Lawrence in real life. So Jack's like, I need to see that. I read this New Yorker profile about it. This guy Lou Pagliaro, another table tennis player. We need to create it. So he and my wife and the research department, they dig into the city archives. They find all iterations of this building as it was built. It's been torn down for many years now. And then they find the renovations. And then they found the key thing was there was a portrait. My research team, they went and researched every player ever talked about in these articles and then looked up photographs of them. And then they found one photo shoot that matches up with the descriptions. And in one photo, the flashes didn't work. And so you saw the lighting of the real Lawrences, and that was like, looked like a dirty pool hall. It looked like a place to get shot or stabbed, not play table tennis. So Jack, when he discovered that was like, again, he's upset. He knows my pet peeves. He knows that garbage on the street will drive me crazy. He knows that a set is not complete until you have extras in it. So he knows working with the casting department. He knows that Miyako Bellizzi, my costume designer, her clothing is a part of the production design. They're all, and Darius, they're all working in tandem. Darius Kanji, my cinematographer, they're all working in tandem with another. Darius's study is saying, well, the color temperature of this light is period versus not period. So we're all trying to create. Jack said, I want to production design a documentary because I'm going to give you the real world so that I can go back. Because I said I need time travel because I'm going to go and tell the story as I would in 2025 because that's the only thing I know. And then I'm going to go back there and for all of us, and I'm going to go back there and I'm going to tell that story and bring it back, get back into that. By the way, Back to the Future, an 80s film that went back to the 50s. So that's kind of what I was doing. I was going in there, getting basically stealing the film and then coming back.
It's extraordinary, the passion. It's no wonder the film is so extraordinary. So shooting,
yes,
on the day, there you are.
Yeah. I'm there. I'm here.
You're there.
Yeah.
Can you give us like a tiny sense of how your day works? Have you got all the shots pre-planned?
Yes.
Everything's pre-planned?
At the end
you break those plans? How does the day go?
So I prepare. And the shooting days are very long. We had 46 days to shoot this film, and then 4 days in Japan, which we had 2 weeks to prep for. So, I had to be prepared. I didn't have an option, and I shoot a lot because I believe in subjectivity. I think that the amalgamation of subjectivity, people's points of view, adds up to create this almost like the way consciousness works. You have all these senses coming in at once, and it creates this kind of super conscious. And you can feel and understand the points of view, but that involves lots of shots and lots of setups, which takes time. And Darius,
when you say subjectivity, you mean, because I heard you saying a great thing that when Gwyneth Paltrow's watching the game, that scene's sort of from
her point of view, but then it jumps down.
Try and get it from lots of people.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the bowling alley is told from many people's points of view, and that was very hard to do. The Bond company showed up that day because they saw my shot list, and we had 1 day to do that whole sequence. And they're like, there's no way this guy's going to do it. So I had to figure out a way to make it happen as economically as possible. And at the end of my productions, I asked my camera department, I didn't want the statistics. I want to know how many setups I had, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I use a lot of it. It's very little wasted. But so I try to also know the blocking. I have these shot maps. Right. I have my shot lists. And then I have then on the day, we'll also add a couple shots. And I had a incredible camera department led by Darius Kanji, and Colin Anderson was the camera operator, and Brian was the second. And you have my AD department we had a lot of extras, and again, the goal was life. That was what we were chasing. And you have to have a list of directions for those extras. Go and tell this extra this little story and that, so everyone has a little bit of a narrative so that they're off doing their thing. And maybe the camera picks up on it. Maybe Timmy interacts with them. So it was a lot.
And does anyone play with the lines, or does that happen?
Yes. So I have I'm the night before, I'm calling Ronnie, and I'm like, I hate this dialogue. I can't do this. It feels so wooden. It's on the page. Timmy's not going to say this the right way by this way. And then he's like, well, okay, well, hold on. Don't throw it off. And I'll X it up, and I'll have a new script for the morning, basically. And then he's like, we're holding on to the other script too. Timmy has everything prepared, and then you start throwing new stuff at him, and then you do all these takes to try to chase the feeling. Then you kind of get the feeling through some improvisation, and then you kind of come back to the script. So you have a lot of takes too. Yeah. And then Ronnie said to me at the end, he goes, "This is the movie that's going to expose us as writers, because we were so worried about writing all the time." And like,
I disagree. It's such a funny movie. There are
Yeah,
so many
well,
unbelievably
exactly.
brilliant dialogue
Thank
scenes
you.
in
The
it.
humor is very important to us, I think. Yeah.
I want to ask you just one question about Timothee Chalamet.
Yes, let's see.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's the most extraordinary performance, and suddenly
I
we're
agree.
all realizing we've now seen a spooky number of extraordinary performances from Timothee Chalamet. It seems to me it's feeling like he's the most interesting male actor of his generation suddenly. And I think he did this perfectly, but I'm wondering whether you spotted working with him what might be the magic ingredient that he's got as an actor or as a human.
I saw it when I met him before I knew him as an actor in 2017. I met this kid who had this intense ambition, this kid who had these wide eyes, this really intense dreamer. I say he was like Timmy Supreme. So I wrote the movie for him. And when I saw him act the first time in Call Me by Your Name, and I'd seen him obviously in other stuff, but when I met him, I didn't like, oh, that's the kid from Interstellar. I just met him as Timothée Chalamet. Then when I saw him in Call Me by Your Name, I saw an acting style. I saw this larger-than-life realism, that he was able to take what could have been a smaller film, and through his iconic style of acting, or larger-than-life realism, it's real, but it's bigger. But it's emotional. He has a way of being like the moment when he shows his humility, when he goes down 4-0 in the championship, in the Wembley Championship. You're inside with him. You're the way he expresses humility, the way he can do these, and I could talk to him about that too. I can tell him one word, an emotion, and I'll watch him weave it in, but he has to find it in his own way. He is, the camera, and the camera likes him. The camera likes him really, and he has
really interesting, the heightened.
But he's like a high fidelity
doing
actor.
The truth, but
yes,
he manages to hang on to the truth while doing more than other.
And it makes him iconic. That's what makes things iconic, is a heightened kind of, it's raising above the topography of reality.
No, there are just so many moments in the film which I think where what he's doing is perfect, and as you say,
And he was very open to tapping into parts of himself in this movie. I would talk to him about, and that's the beauty of, when you work with an actor and you have a good relationship, your conversations are about life, and then to get to know one another, and then you can recall those things, and they can understand that, and they can bring that to a scene or a moment.
So there we go. You've shot these unbelievable 46 days.
By the way, I have, because she's British, my hair department run by Kate Giorgio. I gave
nominated
her, for. She's unbelievable. She's the period person. I gave her carte blanche to send extras home, because hair was so important to be period. And also she understood the face. Like, you have a great period face.
What?
Yeah, you'd be great. You would have been great in the film. And you'd be
like
great in the
worst Roman emperor.
You'd be a good in the movie. I can tell. But because you'd want to get through the scene like this. No.
Where is it? I've got that. No, we got to edit this now. So here we go.
No. Hold on. Let me finish about this, because I think it's important, because Timmy's dedication is very important to admit. Obviously, he trained as a table tennis player, but early on I said I wanted to show Timmy. Obviously, he's got these looks, but I wanted a confident outcast, a guy who had these looks, but maybe that had no reason, that didn't allow him to fit in, because he has interests were idiosyncratic, and I wanted to feel a life of impairment. So I said, Timmy, I want to put +10 contact lenses inside your eyes and -10 prescription lenses, eyeglasses in front of it, so that when you look at it, it's like, this guy's got bad eyesight. And it's been a whole life of that, the acne scarring. I wanted to feel the fights that he's had. He's got a nick on his chin. It was character development just to come up with his look. He sat in the chair every day for an hour getting his eyes. They sewed in to accentuate his unibrow. We sewed in, Kira and Mike, Kira Pachenko and Mike Fontaine, they sewed in little hairs, not sewed in, but weaved them into his eyebrows, and put this 5 prosthetics, and putting the contact lenses. After the first day of shooting, we did with Kevin O'Leary in the Paris restaurant, we did many, many takes, and because Kevin had never acted before, Timmy was very patient. and being able to go out on a limb to allow Kevin to feel confident in improvisation, come back. So we might have to jump around. He's like, I'll just keep the context in all day. What happens when you have a scene, 1952, everyone's smoking in a restaurant? He texts me at 2 a.m. with his eye swollen shut. And he's like, this is not good. We got to talk. So I see him the next day. I was like, oh, we've shot it 2 days. We've established this look. And he says to me, he's like, Josh, listen, I'm willing to do whatever you need me to do. He goes, my eyesight's pretty important to me. But the way he said pretty important to me, it was hesitance.
Yeah, so he would have compromised.
Yeah, there was like, maybe there's a conversation here.
He'd definitely win the Oscar if he's blind. That would have been.
But so that was an incredible dedication every day to do that. But it allowed him every morning an hour to watch the things that he watches, to get himself into the mindset, to listen to the music and whatnot.
So you finished the film, and then the editors of this film are the writers of this film.
Convenient.
Which is really unusual. Convenient, but kind of interesting, because many times, as it were, the editor's not meant to be the enemy of the script, but he's meant to be the person who says that it doesn't quite work.
You should hear how we talk about the writers.
Exactly.
And how I talk about the director. He is the biggest moron. Josh, how could you not get this shot? It's right there. It was right there asking for you to do it. You had an hour. Why didn't you do it?
So you basically start again and make...
I don't watch dailies during the film. And so when we get to the post... I'll send dailies every once in a while to my composer, Daniel Lopatin, so that he's inside the world, and he's
extraordinary music, worthy of Safdie.
He's incredible, Daniel Lopatin. He's like one of my favorite. He invented vaporwave, the movement, and I'll tell you about it. Real hauntological, artist. The past is haunting the future, and the future is haunting the past. That's his essence. That's what he invented, a whole genre dedicated to that feeling. Taking these 80s songs, this detritus from the radio, some of them, and reimagining it in this meditative place. So we wanted to speak to that, and he knew these needle drops that I wanted to use, which, by the way, Peter Gabriel pointed out that 3 out of the 4 were recreated in the city of Bath. Oh. Yeah, which is Bath or Bath?
Both. We know what, but...
All right, tomato. So anyway, so when we're editing, Ronnie and I don't watch the dailies, so when we arrive in post, it's a mystery. It's like we're archaeologists. We don't look at the script. We know the script. I don't need to look at the shot list, the shot log. I know what I liked, what I didn't like. It's a documentary now, and we're just recreating it. Yeah.
Very quickly, how much of what you wrote was gone? Did you turn out to have written...
only a couple scenes got cut.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, only a couple scenes got cut. Yeah.
That's extraordinary. That's the process.
Yeah, surprisingly. We don't do rough cuts. We do a fine cutting as we go.
You test the movie before you release the movie?
I didn't want to do it. I said I didn't, NA24 is so collaborative, and they said, if you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. But I think it'd be helpful for you to hear it, watch it with an audience. We don't have to listen to anyone has to say. Just watch it with an audience. And because you watch it with just the people in your post team, that's it. And maybe 1 or 2 trusted friends. So then you watch it with an audience, and that was, I chose to sat in like the back corner, because I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't want to even hear what someone had to say when the movie was over. And I picked the weirdest seat to sit in. It was the most unique situation I've ever had in a movie theater. It was horrible. I was like, this is the worst seat in the house. I can't.
Did you learn
Not
anything?
only did I hear, the humor worked. That's what I saw. I was like, oh, wow, people are laughing at stuff that I didn't think they would. And then gasping at stuff. I was like, wow, that wasn't so crazy.
So it just confirmed.
I mean, the makeup moment was really awesome to see in a theater, just because that's the Bonnie and Clyde Steen moment of the film, and they're meant for each other. And it's great to hear a feeling that they maybe felt for Marty earlier in the film. Now they're feeling it with Rachel.
Well, I think it all sounds like the most extraordinary process. I did say here, I've got 2 more questions that are general. I've had a quick fire round.
Oh, okay.
You only one word.
Okay.
Gwyneth Paltrow forgot she'd been in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Does she remember being in this film?
Yes.
Good. How long did you take to make from beginning to end? Did you say 7?
6 years.
Do you play table tennis?
Yes.
Have you got an idea for your next film?
Hate that question.
Okay, that's already too many words. Can you tell us what it is? No.
No.
There we go. Okay. I just want to, it would be so gripping to talk to you for 3 hours. I want to ask you 2 generalist questions just for our sakes.
Okay.
1, British film. So I've heard you read a list of like your favorite 57 films about New York, let alone. Do you, since we're in the context of a BAFTAs, are there any British films or strains of British film that you've found either particularly interesting or inspiring, or have you never seen any British?
Come on. Sure. I mean, don't put me on the spot here. Loneliness of a Long Distance Runner, Made in Britain. All the films of Alan Clark are just unbelievably inspiring. All of the films of Mike Leigh, up until Naked. No. I love Mike Leigh. But Naked is the, Nuts in May, Naked. Those are like the big ones for me.
That's very so. Particularly this kind of realistic.
Oh yeah.
Tradition.
Kitchen sinks, all the kitchen sink stuff is
everything like that.
I mean, I'm on the spot right now.
Don't be on the spot because I've got one last.
All right, sorry, I could go on though, but maybe I'll do a list.
So my last question is: here we are. You were just talking about watching your movie in the cinema. Here we are in a cinema. It's such an extraordinary feeling towards it. Do you have any ideas or any answers as to how to keep people going to cinemas to see movies? Because I've seen this movie on both formats, on my TV and here.
And how is it different for you?
Well, it seems so massive, so glorious, so epic here. It's much more overwhelming experience, much more exciting experience. So have you got any thoughts how your generation can keep people coming apart from by once in a while making good films?
I think there's a good quote. It says, in the future, everyone will want to, it's a spin on the Andy Warhol quote, which is that in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. This is, in the future, everyone will want to be anonymous for 15 minutes. And I think that there is a feeling of going into a theater and collectively experiencing a movie, going in voyeurism, going and watching a film together. There is that feeling, a little bit of anonymity, and there's, your phone is off, hopefully. But I don't care. I mean, I think a good movie makes you turn your phone off. I think there's very few things left on the planet that really, that are collective, but also allow you to turn off, and tune in. And I think, some movies are really good in a theater. I think this one works really well because of the energy of the film. I think the sporting events of this feel kind of epic, and sporting events are seen with lots of people. Imagine going to a sporting event, there's one person. I went to some Knicks games during COVID. That was weird. It was like 200 people in a 20,000 person place. But I think that, people like Timothee and his marketing here was unbelievable. It was really its own art form. And
maybe marketing hasn't caught up with
absolutely
the movies that are being made.
But not everyone can do it. That's a hard thing to do. I mean, he's a genius with it, and he understands the movie, the world of the movie, and it's kind of an extension. It's almost like conceptual promotion. Marty says, you're going to be looking at me from the cover of a Wheaties box, and we put Marty on a Wheaties box.
I'm going to take away, that's my one thing. I do think there are, Jaws, etc., changed the nature of marketing for movies as well as the nature of movies.
What's funny quickly about Jaws, Ronnie pointed this out to me. He's like, when you're a kid, it's like, and then Jaws jumps out and bites the woman. You think that the name of the shark is Jaws. Exactly. Someone said to me, it's like, I love it when Marty Supreme goes to Japan. It's like, what?
But maybe there is a marketing thing done in this film, and like they.
I think it has to be
suits and
culture. It has to culture. We think the internet brings us all together. Sometimes it forces us so far apart from more likely the latter. But I think that things like this literally bring people together, and it's cultural in that way.
Well, look, we're really lucky to have. John, he's an amazing filmmaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that.
The film.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming.